We're starting today Perek Yud Beis, and we're going to read a few psukim and get involved in the milchamos of Bnei Yisrael in Kibush Haaretz. Ve'ele malchei haaretz asher hiku Bnei Yisrael vayirshu es artzom be'ever hayarden mizrocho hashemesh Minachal Arnoin Adhar Hermoin Vechol Hoarovo Mizrocho. Sichoin Melech HaOmoyri Ayoishe Becheshboin Moishel Me'aroir Asher Al Sfas Nachal Arnoin Vesoich HaNachal Vechatzia Gilod Ve'ad Yaboik HaNachal Gvul Bnei Amoin Ve'arovo Ad Yam Kinrois Mizrocho Ve'ad Yam Hoarovo Yam HaMelech Mizrocho Derech Beis HaYeshimoin, Umiteimon Tachas Ashdoi Sapisko, Ugvul Oig Melech HaBoshem Yeser HaRefoim HaYoshev BeAshtorois UBeEdrei, Umoishel BeHar Hermoin UBeSalko Bechol HaBoshon Ad Gvul HaGishuri VeHaMachosi V'Chatzi HaGilol Gvul Sichoin Melech Heshboin, Moishe Eved Hashem Bnei Yisrael Hikum, Vayitno Moshe Eved Hashem Yerusha L'Reuveni V'Lagodi V'Lchatzi Shevet Amenashi. Zocht Rashi, Ve'ad Yaboik HaNachal, Sheshom Gvul Eretz Bnei Amoin Soif Meitzar, Eretz Bnei Amon Mishom V'Holo Yu Bnei Amoin Moishlim, V'Chatzi HaGilod Gvul Sichoin, Shomo Yu Meitzar Memsheles Sichoin, Kemo she'omur Lemalo, שחצי הגיל עוד אויר שלוי, וזה החצי השני של אויג. So in order to understand what is happening, I would like to draw a virtual map with you. We have Eretz Yisrael. We know, anybody knows the Gvulos of Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael in the north, starting all the way up north, the Nehar HaYarden splits Eretz Yisrael from Tzofain to Doran. Starts all the way up north, next to a place where it's called Nachal Dan, which is, if somebody would like to know today, is just a bit north of Kiryat Shmona of today. And this is, even though Shevet Dan, we know their Nachala was in Yafoi, in the central of Eretz Yisrael, not in the north, but they didn't have enough space. We're going to read it. They didn't have enough space and enough places in Nachalas Bnei Don, and they went up north and they dwelled there. Part of Chelek Don, Shevet Don, dwelled in Bnei Brak, Yafoi, Loid, and some of them went all the way up north next to Kiryat Shmona, going towards the Golan Heights. So the Nahar HaYarden starts all the way up north from Nachal Dan, and it goes into what the pasuk called Yam Kinrois, the Kinneret. Goes to Yam Kinrois, it pours into Yam Kinneres, and then from Yam Kinneres it goes out as Nehar HaYarden. It keeps on going from north to south all the way to Yam HaMelech. In the area of Yericho, it goes all the way to Yam HaMelech. And this is the Gvul HaMizrachi of Eretz Yisrael from north to south. The Gvul HaTzfoini of Eretz Yisrael, the northern border, is on the eastern side, is the Har HaChermoin, okay, and on the west, on this northwest side, is the Nehar Pros. The southern border of Eretz Yisrael is Nehar Mitzrayim, which is a Machlekes Rishonim, if it's the Nilus, or most Rishonim hold it's something called Vadi El Arish, which is northern of the Nile, of the Nilus. But that's Akoponim, the Gvul Hadroimi. The Gvul HaMa'arovi of Eretz Yisrael is the Yam HaTichon, the Mediterranean, which goes all the way from Eretz Plishtim, from south, on a curve, and it goes up north to Rosh Hanikro, all the way there to the north. So this is what we have. We have Eretz Yisrael, which is basically straight on top. Here on the right side, it goes down from the Har HaYarden, from Nachal Dan, into Yam Kineres, through the Yarden all the way south to Yam HaMelech. And on the west side, we have Yam HaTichon. On the bottom, we have basically Eretz Yisrael, we see steht in Kafta Afer is Mukaf Mayim. It's really Mukaf Mayim because the Gvulas Amos Batere, the north side is Nehar Pos, the south side is Nahar Mitzrayim, the west side is Yam HaTichon, and the east side is the Yarden. So Shaila in Yerushalmi Machlekes, if the Yarden himself has a din of Eretz Yisrael or a din of Ever Yarden of Chutz La'aretz. Somebody's maybe get Besfina from Ever Yarden is a Shaila if the Yarden Atzmo has a din of Eretz Yisrael or not. I'm not getting involved right now. Let me describe you topographically. Bnei Yisrael are coming from the south. The real southern part of Ever Yarden HaMizrochi. Now, really, Ever Yarden is mentioned over 200 times in Tanakh. And Ever Yarden, in most of the places, Ever Yarden really means the shores, the bank of the Jordan River. It could either mean Ever Yarden HaMizrochi, which is on the Jordanian side, or Ever Yarden HaMaravi on Eretz Yisrael side. In most of the time in Tanakh, Ever Yarden, few places it's called Ever Yarden HaMaravi, but Ever Yarden is Ever Yarden HaMizrochi, east of the Jordan River. This is called Ever Yarden. So, on the bottom, if I'm coming from Mitzrayim, on the bottom, on the southern, I would say, leaning a little bit towards west, is Eretz Edom. Eretz Edom, this is what's given to Esau, we'll soon see. The border of Eretz Edom, you keep on going north, you hit Moav. The gvul between Edom and Moav is Nachal Zored. We find in Torah Nachal Zored. That's the gvul of Eretz Edom. From Nachal Zored going up north, we have Moav. It goes a little bit on a slant, and the first river that you find is Nachal Arnoin, which is in the middle. In other words, it's Nachal Arnoin that comes out from the middle of Yam HaMelech, the middle of the Dead Sea, and it crosses across, it comes to a place called Ir Moav. So Ir Moav, the Nachal, it's called Nachal Arnoin in the Torah, that's the Nachal coming out in the middle of Moav, from Yam HaMelech in the west till Ir Moav in the east. Keep on going up north, then we're going to find all those cities that we heard about in the Torah, Yehotzo, Betzer, Cheshboin, Yazer. And in the middle, we find a place called, just on the other side of Yericho. I'm going further up north because we finished with Yam HaMelech. Arvoi Smoyov. This is Moshe Hoyle, Moshe Beres, Arvoi Smoyov. Al Yarden Yericho, it's basically right by Ma'aboris HaYarden, right by the bridge, crossing the Jordan when Bnei Yisrael went in from, when they came up to Eretz Yisrael, that's where Yeshua crossed the Yarden, right on the north of Yam HaMelech, where it's strictly Nehar Yarden. So we have, again, Nachal Zored in the north of Edom. In the middle of Moav, we have Nachal Arnoin. Then we have the whole of Moav going all the way up to Nachal Yaboik. Nachal Yaboik is right by Penuel. We know it from Yaakov Avinu. You cross Nachal Yaboik. Penuel, that's the northern city of Moav. Here starts Amoin. Amoin goes up all the way from the north of Yazer. Cheshboin and Yazer are still part of Moav. North of that is Nachal, is Amoin, which goes up to the Yaboik. From the Yaboik goes up also in the Jordan River. Here it comes out of Har Gilad in the west, and going all the way to the north, to the eastern border. In other words, it's parallel to Nachal Arnoin. Parallel to Nachal Arnoin is Nachal Yaboik. And that's where Amoin goes to. Further north of that, we have Ramois Gila, the Drei, and that's the Boshon. The Boshon was Oig Melech HaBoshon, lived up north. So we have Edom, Moav, Ammon, and Boshon. And that's parallel to the other side of the Jordan River, all the way from Yamsuf, which is Edom, on the other side, going all the way up to further for the Kineres, which is the Boshon. That's the eastern part of Ever HaYarden HaMizrachi. Okay? So now that we have the borders, now that we understand ashtikul, how the border works, we could continue and learn what's happening over here. So Bnei Yisrael come from the south. They're going up from Edom, they're going up to Moav, and they are going weiter to Ammon, and then they go up to the Boshon. Okay? The Shevet Reuven, Gad, the Chotzi Shevet HaMenashe, they had a lot of taf, a lot of mikne, and they didn't want to go with Bnei Yisrael to cross the Yarden, and they told Moshe Rabbeinu, we would like to get this part, Eretz Mira LeMikneim. So Moshe Rabbeinu gives them Ammon, Umoav, and the Boshon, and he gives them that place, subject to them coming and participating in the Milchemes Kibush Haaretz, and they were the Chalutzim, they were the first, the pioneers going in front of the Machane, and they had to stay Sheva Shekibshu, Sheva Shechilku. Afterwards, they make a U-turn. We'll see it at the end of Sefer Yehoshua. They leave the families behind. They come back, the Chalutzei Tzova of Shevet Reuven, Gad, the Chotzi Shevet HaMenashe, go back to Ever HaYarden, and that's why they dwell. 9.5 Shvatim were Chelek in Eretz Yisrael, 2.5 Shvatim. We know that Menashe, part of Menashe, were 11 Mishpachas, 6 and 5, they split. Part of them stayed in the eastern side of the Jordan River, and part of them in the western side of the Jordan River. Okay, now, this Gimel HaRotzos, Ammon, Moav, and Edom, is called in Bris Ben Abesorim, Kini, Knizi, Vekadmoini. Beim sich steht in Bris Ben Abesorim, by Yom HaKos, Hashem Savron Bris, he gave him all Eser Umois, but Lamaisa, we know that in Eretz Canaan, we only have Eretz Zayin Amomim. Says Rashi, and brings from Chazal, that the Kini, Knizi, and the Kadmoini are giving as a temporary pikod until the Osed Lovoi to Ammon and Moav, to Bnei Loi, to Bischar the Shtike, that he was quiet when they crossed the border, and he said Achoisi and was shoket. So he got Ammon and Moav. That's his two children. They received the Moav in the south and Ammon in the north. And Esav received Eretz Edom Bischar the Kibudav that he had. Esav, to his father, he received this pikod. So we got the Eretz Zayin Amomim, which is in Ever HaYarden HaMa'arovi, and they received the two Plemenikes of Loit, Ammon and Moav. They received Ammon and Moav, and then Seir, which is Edom, receives the south, and the Edom, he gets the southern land of Ever HaYarden HaMizrachi. And the truth of the matter, when they come in Ever HaYarden, Arvus Moav, steht a Posuk in Sefer Dvorim Glach, Emer Hashem al Totzer Moav al Tizga b'milchama, ki lo eten lo me'arzo Yerusha, ki lebnei lo itnosat yis'o Yerusha. Steht doch klar that so long the Bnei Loit dwell in this chelik of Ammon and Moav, there is no reshus of Bnei Yisrael to be koivesh Ammon and Moav. Something happened historically. Sichon Melech HaEmoiri. Now let me give you a little bit of synopsis from everything that it says in Kama Mekoimes in Shas and in Midrash. Emoiri is one of the Zayin Amomim. Sichon was the Melech HaEmoiri. Oig was Melech HaBoshon. Oig was Melech HaBoshon. He is up in the north in the Boshon. Sichon Melech HaEmoiri. Now Emoiri didn't the fact that there was a Nahar Yarden, Ever HaYarden HaMa'arovi Mizrach didn't stir him. He, Lemaise, was a very strong melech. He was Hitil Pachdoy Al Kol Svivav Loshen Chazal, and he dwelled Sayin Ever HaYarden HaMizrachi and Sayin Ever HaYarden HaMa'arovi. When Bnei Yisrael coming to Eretz Yisrael with Yeshua bin Nun, they meet their Moiri. Their Moiri is there. But let us not forget that he also said, on the eastern side of the Jordan River. What did he do? Sichon Melech HaMoiri went to a place called Cheshbon, which was the Ir Moav, was the capital of Moav. So we're going to see Ammon and Moav. And this happened prior to Bnei Yisrael coming to that location. Steht a Pasuk in the Torah, Ki Cheshbon Ir Sichon Melech HaMoiri, Vehu Nilchom BeMelech Moav HaRishon, Vayitol Es Kol Arzo Miyodoi Ad Arnoin. This Hevel Eretz, remember I told you there's Nachal Arnoin, north of Nachal Zored, Nachal Arnoin, in the south of Moav, and Nachal Yabok in the north of Nachal Arnoin. This Hevel Eretz, between Nachal Arnoin in south of Moav and Nachal Yabok, which is encroaching into Ammon, Melech Sichon, Melech HaMoiri came from Eretz Yisrael. He was all over the place, and he threw out Ammon and Moav from the place, and he captured it. Okay? After Ammon and Moav lost the Milchama, and Sichon is the one who lives in most of the territory of Ammon and Moav, steht a Pasuk. Re'ei acheloisi teis lecho es Sichon ves arzoi hochel reish lo reshes es arzoi. I'm giving you permission to start fighting Sichon Melech HaMoiri. And that was the Milchama Moshe Rabbeinu held with Sichon Melech HaMoiri. This is the place where Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain are going to sit in, which is in essence, in the beginning, before Sichon Melech HaMoiri came, it belonged to Ammon and Moav. And after Sichon Melech HaMoiri comes in, then Bnei Yisrael have permission to go ahead and conquer it from Sichon Melech HaMoiri. In Medrash state, soon we're going to see the Gemara, but first let me just read it in short in the Medrash, and then we're going to see was steht in the Gemara in Chul in Daf Samach. Gemara state, Bo Yisrael v'notlu cheshbon shehoisa shel Sichon v'kol ma shenotal mimoyov she'ilu notlu mimenu mimoyov oyo ba'yodom gezel shel avlo ela notal Sichon min moyov v'notal Yisrael min Sichon sheyiptur min hagezel. If Klal Yisrael would have gone and captured it directly before Sichon Melech HaMoiri came and captured Ammon and Moav from them, then it would be the Yodom Gezel Shel Avlo. Why? Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu gave these two Amamim, he gave them the land. Since Sichon Melech HaMoiri had nothing to do with us, Unilchom BeMelech Moav HaRishon, he took it away from him. Klal Yisrael have the ability to go ahead and conquer it, to take it back from Sichon Melech HaMoiri. The morning Chul Nishtet Azeh. Omer Eish Lokish, Taf Samach. Harbe mikroes shirui lisrif vehein gufi Torah. So shirui lisrif, if you look superficially, it looks like, what does it do in the Torah? Burn it up. It doesn't have any value. No value added. So the Gemara, what's the Moshel? Pasuk state, ve'avim hayoshim bechatzerim ad azo, manaf keminoloch. It says, the avim, is a shem of Uma, setil chatzerim ad azo. It says that the Kaftorim came and gave him a clap and took it away from them. For the Gemara Kasha, what's the when we learn in history over here what happened between Umois, that the Kaftorim went ahead and took it from the Avim. So the Gemara Boa Kosuv Leima. The Ashbei Avimelech LaAvram im Tishkeli V'Linyan Lechdi. Remember there was a pact between Avram and Avimelech. And he told them, you can't take any of my cities. Avimelech was Melech Plishtim. That in Nini, Nechdi, Shtei Doris, Sholosh Doris, that there should be a Bris Sholem. When Bnei Yisrael came to conquer Eretz Yisrael, those Doris still did not pass. They lived in Mayach Yomim. In those days, how can they go ahead and capture the Plishtim? So, Omar HaKodesh Baruch Hu, this is a quote from the Gemara in Chulin Daf Samach. Leisu Kaftorim, come the Kaftorim, which is the Umma Acheres and not part of Plishtim. Ve'ilifku me'avim, Avim is the Plishtim. Okay, they will take out the Nachlo the Avim Plishtim. Ve'leis Yisrael lifku me'Kaftorim. Now, once Kaftorim did the job for us, we can go ahead and capture. I have a Shvur. Shvur is I wouldn't jump with your Einikel. Now, if your Einikel went and had a Milchama with a third party, and the third party conquered the Kibush Milchama, which is a legitimate transaction in Kibush Milchama. And now I go and fight with the person who caught it from you, who took it away from you. There's no Isol Tishkel Linin Lechti. There's only a direct pact, a bris between Avram and Avimelech. So the Gemara Kayoytze B'zeh Atoimer. Ki Cheshbon Yisichem Melech HaMoiriu V'hu Nilcha BeMelech Moav. It says Cheshbon was the city of Ammon and Moav. Melech HaMoiriu Sichon went and conquered Cheshbon. Meinaf Kemin, for the Gemara. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeYisrael Al Totzer Moav. Since HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Yisrael, you're not allowed to be Moitze Moav, you're not allowed to conquer, you're not allowed to fight Moav. Right, because Bnei Loid, so Akachal Yisrael captured and give it to Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Leisu Sichoi Leipku B'Moav. Let Sichon Melech HaMoav, who is one designer, I mean, he's going to do the job. He'll take it out of Moav. Melech Moav and Rishon, Klal Yisrael is not even on the scene. They're not on the radar. They're still up all the way down south in the Midbar. V'leisi Yisrael v'leivku Mesichon. And let's Klal Yisrael come and take it out of Sichon. So Klal Yisrael is capturing from who? Historically, this land was given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Ammon and Moav, Bischar, whatever. And Kol Zman Ammon and Moav stayed there. There was Al Totzer, Moav, there was Alochi, you're not allowed to make a Melchama with Moav. Being a Sichon, Melech HaMoav went and took it away from them, then you're allowed to go. So the Gemara, V'hainu do Omar Av Pope. Amoinu Moav Tiharu beSichon. Zogt Rashi, Al Yedei Sichon Tiharu B'Artzel Yisrael b'Moav. Ksiv V'hu Nilchom Be'amon Mefurish B'Nachlos B'nei Gad beSefer Yehoshua. Vayilem Magvul Yazev V'chol Eretz Agila V'chatzi Eretz B'nei Omer V'kachoshim V'ozel. V'ksiv beSefer Yeser Mamloch Sichon. Alma. Rashi brings a raya from later Perikut Gimel. We'll learn the psukim inside when we get there. Sichon Kovash LeEretz B'nei Amoin. Ve'oid motzinu, Rashi was bothered with Amoin. Motzinu bemelech be'amoin she'omar le'maloche Yiftach. In Sefer Shoftim, we'll learn Yiftach HaShofet sent to. He wanted to make some kind of a diplomatic negotiations to make a bris with the Amoin. So he told them, Ki lokach Yisrael es arzi me'arnoin v'ad ha'yaboik. From Nachal Arnoin ad ha'yaboik, he took away my land. Almo bnei Eretz bnei Amonim. Veheim Klal Yisrael misichon kofshua. Tiksiv v'yirshu es arzoi. The pasuk says an Eretz Yisrael, an bnei Yisrael fighting Sichon me'arnoin ad ha'yaboik. Aval me'anisha b'yodem l'lokchu klum. Weist ois the Rashi. That's how Rashi learns. That Ammon and Moav beSichon means to say whatever Sichon did not capture the entire Ammon and Moav. There's parts in the northern Ammon and parts in the southern of Moav that he did not. He took the Smetana. He took from Nachal Arnoin ad Nachal Yaboik, which is the center of Ammon and Moav. He took it away. So that part, that's what Moshe captured. But Me'anoiser, from the Ibrik, from the Shiurei, from the residual North Ammon and South Moav, why? Because that blind the Rechush of Ammon and Moav, whatever he didn't take away from them, comes back to Alocher of Al Totzeres Moav. So when Melech Bnei Ammon is corresponding later on, 250 years later, with Yiftach, and he's telling him, listen, you want to make a bris with me, but you should know you took away my land. He told him, you took away mine. What do you mean you took away mine? I never took anything from you. I never had a Melchama with you. But being that historically this land, if you look, you make a title search, you'll see that it belonged to us. So give us back the Eretz Bnei Ammon that Moshe Rabbeinu gave to Reuven v'Gad v'Chatzi Shevet HaMenashe to live there. Okay. What happened from Sichon captured from Moav, and he captured a small part of Ammon. The Iker Chelik was Nichbash al Yedei Oig. Oig was Melech HaBoshen sitting up north. He captured the other part of. He wasn't Sichon Melech HaMoav. Did not do the whole job. As I said, he captured from the whole land between the two rivers, from Arnoin till Yaboik. But further up north, which still belonged to Ammon, that was captured by Oig Melech HaBoshen. He wasn't one of the Zion Amim, Oig Melech HaBoshen. And Oig Melech HaBoshen came up from the Boshen from the north. He chapped the Rhine. He took away from the Ammonim, the Ibrike, the residual versus Ibr Giblim. You know, Sichon Melech HaMoav didn't take the whole thing. We have a Mishnah in Shvi'is, Shalosh HaRotzes L'Shvi'is. One of them is Ever HaYarden. So weist ois that this Chalokim, the Chelek which Melech HaMoyer was Kovish, that's the Aloch of Amon Moav Tiharu beSichon, that's a Reuven and Gad of Bnei Menashe this. But in Amon there is a Chelek of Amon which is not captured. The Mishnah says Amon Moav Me'asri Meiser Oni B'Shvis, weist ois that there is a part which wasn't gechapt. Now, there's a big shailek after a ferach by Reb Shteri Aparchi, who was the biggest document of the Kadmoinim, of the Rishonim, of the Gvulos Eretz Yisrael in Perek Mem Zayin. He has a bunch of cheshbonis. He has maps and maps on top of maps. Where is exactly that chelek? Where does it end? Does it end really in Nachal Arnoin? Does it go any further up north? That's what he wants to know. And he says that from the Yaboik, which is in the north, a Mahalach of Yoim V'Chetzi belonged to Amoin, Take, and from there till the Cheremoin was till the from Nachal Weist Ois, that from Nachal Yaboik till the Cheremoin is a 4.5 days Mahalach Odom. Odom mainly goes Esa Parsois Beyoim, it's 45 Parsois, 45 meal. Is the Shetach from the north. So Weist Ois, as he Dr. Shteri Aparchi has his own rayas, that the first day and a half worth of land, that was belonged to Amoin. And from there onwards, it was belonged to Melech HaBosha, Melech HaTchila. You know, I found a Ravid, I want you to look at Ravid in Teras Kohen in Parshas Metzora, and I would like to quote to you the Ravid. The Ravid says as follows: V'ani tomeo, ma kovshu Yisrael me'eretz bnei Amoin. He brings a story with Yiftach. Melech bnei Amoin comes along and says, "You took away my land." He said, "What did they take from Amoin?" V'lachesh beinu bnei Seyo. In the pasuk, the Pesukim say in Sefer Dvorim, what Moshe conquered from Melech HaMoiri, Sichoi Melech HaMoiri. It says, "Chesh beinu bnei Seyo." שהויו מארץ מויוב, זוג דרעי, מצאו במייפתח שאומר לבני אבנם כלוך ישראל ארצי בעלי ישראל מצרים, ועתו השיבה אסם, give it back to me. ואפשר. He doesn't understand. Vus kommt Amoin. Klal Yisrael took Moav. Moav was captured by Sichon Melech HaMoav. Zog derav. Listen to the of the Ravid. Ve'efsher. Anybody wants to see? The Ravid is in Teras Kohanim, in Parshas Metzora, in Perek Yudalid. Okay, Piska Lamedalid. And I'm quoting the Ravid. Ve'efsher ki Moav u'bnei Amoin mipnei shehoyu achim. They were brothers. Ammon and Moav were brothers. All from Bnei Slade, they were brothers. Melech echod Melech Aleim. They had a joint venture, Ammon and Moav. Upe'omim shehoyo hamelech b'Moav, upe'omim shehoyo hamelech b'nei Ammon. Ubimei sichoi hoyo melech b'Moav, v'nilcham im sichoi. V'lokach miyoda es cheshbon v'es gvulo shehoyo l'Moav, u'lebnei Ammon. In that kufa, where Sichon Melech HaMoiri came and conquered it, the ruler, the Melech, was Melech Moav Rishon. Why? Because in the rotatia, this is not Eretz Yisrael like Hamtzo. In this rotation, who is going to rule? Ammon and Moav, they used to have either a few years me, a few years you. They were brothers, and they had a rotation in who is going to fear. So the Rav the Shtikl Torah, that in the time of Melech Moav Rishon, when Sichon Melech HaMoiri is making Milchama, then the Melech Moav Rishon was the Balabos Sai of Ammon of Moav. Ubemei Yiftach hoyo hamelech b'nei Ammon, v'hoyo teves artz ves eretz Moav miyado, v'hu she'omru Ammon u'me'av tiru beSichon. So they arrived that in the time of Yiftach, the Melech b'nei Ammon was a Melech on Ammon and on Moav. So Melech kum mitatayne says, as far as you're concerned, we are one joint venture. We consolidated Ammon and Moav. At that time, they chopped it for Moav, but now I'm ruling. So Melech, you have to give it back to me. And he says, are you going to tell me that Sichon Melech HaMoiri, he took it away? He says, you know what? He took it away as of the Ravid. He took it away from the Moavim. I didn't rule then. And since I have Lamaise, Ammon and Moav, both of Avtocha, should give it to us to Los and Lovei. So today, bin ich, the Melech Ammon, you got to give me the Rav is saying, he said a sophisticated word. He said, I understand Amon Umoyav Tiharu beSichon. And I understand you had a detour and you feel that you could take. But Amon Umoyav, it's not Amon. In Moyav, it's Tiharu beSichon, Sichon took it away from Moyav. The Melech Moyav was he had a shlita and a jurisdiction over Amon. I never lost a war against Melech, Sichon, Melech, and Moyav. So now that I am the Baba boss, I'm sorry, this belongs back to me. These befeivish etzivu in the Torah of you're not allowed to be kovish eretz bnei Haman. Since the Sugya Sagmora in Gittin, the whole Sugya Sagmora in the Flamet Zayin Lamet Ches in Gittin. Omar Shlokish. Minayin le'akum shekoine akum l'maisi yodov. A goy buys a goy for an eved. So sheneemar v'gam b'bnei atoshovim hagorim imchem tiknu. So the Gemara, atem you bnei Yisrael koine mehem. You could buy from the goyim. V'lo yehem koinim echad mikem. V'lo yehem koinim zemizeh. Bottom line, the Gemara says like this: Yisrael could buy a goy, evet knaini, and he's koni kinin aguf, not only kinin ma'aseh yadayim but kinin aguf. But a goy who buys a yid, Yisrael anim kol akum, or alternately, goy that buys another goy, the entire kinyan he has a kinyan l'ma'aseh yadayim, kinyan peres l'ma'aseh yadayim, he doesn't have a kinyan aguf. That's what the Gemara says. Zog the Gemara, how do you say yochel lo yiknu zemizeh? Ve'omar lo yehem koinim zemizeh. So the Gemara ochikoma v'lo yehem koinim zemizeh eved legufui. Yochel lo yiknu zeh klal afilu lo ma'aseh yodov. Omar Reish Lakish omat kal v'chaymer. Akum Yisrael koine goy could buy Yisrael lo ma'aseh yodayim. Akum le kolshkein. A goy that buys it. If a goy could buy a yid the king of ma'aseh yodayim, bevada he could buy him to a goy, his friend the goy, for a kinyan ma'aseh yadayim. More comes along and says, what happened if a yid had an eved and he fell b'shevi? In the Milchama when he became a prisoner of war. So the goy is koine the eved b'kinyan yush. There's a kinyan called kinyan yush. In other words, there was a Milchama between the yid and the goyim, and the eved of Yisrael fell into the hands of a goy. Shaboy is called, the sugi of Shaboy. So then the Shaboy is kind of this yid l'maaseh yodov with what kind of kinyan? With a kinyan yush, the Gemara, and then he can be makna the ma'aseh yodayim to another yid. Somebody's coming to be poidim from the Shaboy. He's koinim l'misha poidim ma'aseh yodayim, and when the eved is the Yisrael, Sveit Yisrael comes to the goy, he pays him off, and he's matbil and l'shem avdu. So the Yisrael is koinim already. It's chalal him a kinyan aguf. In other words, a goy cannot own a kinyan aguf eved. Not when he owns a yid, and certainly not when he owns a goy. So the more v'chiteime anemile that a goy could buy l'maaseh yadayim bekaspo, like he's koine Yisrael. Yisrael is koine b'kinyan kesef. Aval bechazoke, a kinyan of shvi milchama, maybe a goy cannot buy a eved l'maaseh yadayim. So the Gemara Omar of Pope Amon Umoyav Tiharu beSichon. So this pearl of wisdom, Amon Umoyav Tiharu beSichon, is being used by the Gemara to bring a raya that when a goy buys another goy l'maaseh yodov, even bechazoke, not bekesef, the kinyan is chal. Why? Amon Umoyav Tiharu beSichon. What does it mean? Kal Yisrael is a isur of al totzuras moyav, and now let it be kovish the artzom. Yisrael did take Amon Umoyav. Why? Because Sichon Melech HaMoiri was metayah them. So Vaist Oiz as Sichon in this Arotzois, he didn't have a kinyan kesef. He came with a Milchama. Milchama is called Kibush Chazok. So you see that a goy could buy a karka of another goy b'chazok. And the same thing, he could buy a karka b'chazok. So too, he could buy a goy in another goy al yedei kinyan chazok for Kibush Milchama. That's the Gemara. It's a Machlekes Hashem. This forum Machlekes Hashem. I'm just saying over the thesis in Gittin Daf Lamed Zayin Lamed Ches learns of the sugya. So comes out the Maskonas Gemara in Gittin is that a goy is koine bekibush milchama, and a goy when he takes the land, because if the goy wouldn't be koine bekibush milchama, your yid cannot take it away. I'm going to have to beSichon means to say behechach he had to buy the karka. Forget about the goy koine goy, but he bought the karka bekibush chazok. If you wouldn't be koine the karka, there wouldn't be the kinyan ma'aseh yadayim, not even kinyan peres. So he wouldn't be a loch of Amon Moav Tiharu beSichon. You cannot take it away from him. It belongs to Amon Moav. How do you allow to capture it? So the Gemara from Amon Moav Tiharu beSichon is a raya that a goy has a kibush for chazaka, and al yedei kibush chazaka he could conquer and be kohen al kaponim ma'aseh yadayim. Okay. The kashi is ala chino kvege the chasam sofer ala muchazach. The Gemara in Sanhedrin in Daf Nuntel steht the Gemara leike midi the Yisrael shori v'lo akum also. There's no such a thing. We never find leike midi. More interesting, maybe this, maybe that. In Zayim Mitzvahs Bnei Noach. There's no such a thing, something which is also Yisrael, and it's also not for the more Akashe, the loy v'fastoyer. Fastoyer is equal to Milchama. You take a issue which is a Ish, and it's muter b'shas Milchama. So the Gemara Hosom, and it's only muter to Yid, but a Goy is not allowed to take Ishes Chaveir. It's over on Zayim Mitzvah B'nei. The heter v'fastoyer is only a heter which says to Yid in Kibush Milchama, not a Goy doesn't have a heter. And if he takes a Yishuv Kibush Milchama, is Chayiv Misa. Out Eishes Chaveira, she's Eishes Ish. For the more Akasha, so how do you say Leikomidi? Here I'll show you something that they do have. We have a heter by Eishes Ish by Milchama to take a fastoyer, and the guy doesn't. So the more Hosom, this is the Lashon HaGemara, the Lav Bnei Kibush Ninu, Zogt Rashi, Lo Nitno Oretz Lich Bo Ishkiim LiYisrael, She'af LiYisrael Lehutei fastoyer Elu Milchama Al Dei Kibush. Be'emes is this woman, since she's Nich B'Shoah, B'Kibush Milchama, so she's not Tachas Baila anymore, therefore she's Hutor LiYisrael. The reason why a Goy doesn't have a heter of a fastoyer is because he doesn't have a Kibush Milchama. A Goy cannot be kohen a kinyan of Kibush Milchama. Therefore, since he doesn't have Kibush Milchama, he's never Hutor, never took away the Iser of Ish fastoyer. As I steht in the Gemara. For the Kveger, steht the Chasam Sofer, in Chelek Aleph, the whole Siman Yud Aleph. It's a steer Sasugya. By us state that the Akum has a kibush milchama, Amon Moav Tiharu beSichon, otherwise you won't be able to take it away from them because you're not allowed to be kovish Amon Moav. Und dort steht as a goy is not lavnei kibush nino. So if does the Akum have a kibush milchama b'chazok, or he doesn't have a kibush milchama b'chazok? So Be'emes says he's around. The Ran says, and I'm quoting the Ran. The Ran in Chidush HaRan in Sanhedrin Daf Nun Zayin. Mikol makom lekusha ze en la mokom nemetatzin lekamon gabe fastoyer shayni hosam lad bnei kibush nim rotzolema shakusim ein zoichim elo be'elo liknus kinyan aguf ze beze umshumoche asuri befastoyer da katzi ave eishes akus chaveiro aval Yisrael bnei kibush shekoivshim es akusim kinyan aguf ve'mom shelahem ve'nifko mehem teiras yishus umuto lakacht. He says like this: a goy can only buy a goy l'maisi yadayim. So you take Eishes Chaveir, she has a kinyan aguf, the Ish is a kinyan aguf, you never take it away, so it's also. A Yid is a kinyan aguf, so in the second he's chap this lady, in the Milchama, this fastoyer, in that moment he has a kinyan aguf, and he says, it's poka the Ishus. He says, V'nifko mehem teiras Ishus. Mimele, it's muta lekachto. Not because a Yid is a heter to be able to Eishes Ish. Through Kibush Milchama, he has a kinyan aguf, and the kinyan aguf is mafkia, the kinyan Ishus, klompish vifel Ishus Ido, in Eishes Chaveir from your fastoyer. Mimele comes out that after the issues, that the goy that only has a kinyan ma'aseh yadayim, so he's not mafkish, she's an Eishes Ish, and she's also Mashaykin Be'id is koy v'kish Milchama because she becomes ois Eishes Chaveir. Zog the Dvar Avram is a whole siman. According to this round, it comes out that be'emes, the Gemara doesn't say that the goy doesn't have a kibush milchama. Though the Torah says the kibush milchama of a goy of kinyan ma'aseh yadayim is not genug to be mafkir the issues that a Baal has in his isha. But a kinyan mamoyde l'ma'aseh yadayim, the goy is yet koy the kibush milchama. So Mimele, that's the teretz. The teretz is that Amon Moav Tiharu beSichon, there is a kinyan ma'aseh yadayim. Mimele, Bnei Yisrael can take it away from them. But Gabi Ish is a din b'fnei atzmoi. The shaila is, if Amon Moav Sichon Melech HaMoyri was kovish Amon Moav kibush milchama, how could it be matir if the goy is koyin only kinyan aguf from the karka? So it comes out that be'emes Klal Yisrael cannot take away from them more than vifel erot gat. Because the kinyan aguf they didn't have, only kinyan peres. If they only have Kinyan Peiros, the Klal Yisrael cannot have the Karka. So Mimele it comes out that Klal Yisrael only captured Amon Moav Tiharu beSichon only as much as the Amon Moav himself, as the Sichon Melech HaMoav took away from them. He never took away the Kinyan Aguf. Remember, see, there's a Goyen. The Goyen says that Amon Moav. The Gemara said the Gemara taking Torah why al shelikin be'echem b'lechem u'b'mayim, and that's why Le'yov b'klal Hashem. So the Goyen that the Taina and them was that never had the mid of Akaras HaTov. A Yid is Miloshan Eidom, Miloshan Akaras HaTov. So Bnei Amon Moav is not shaykh to the mid of Akaras HaTov like the Goyen. Mele they're not allowed to be boiled b'kol. So Mimele the din